So I'm really curious because 10 years is not a short period of time. You travel to all these places, right? You said mention some of the places you travel to for for our audience.
Vanuatu, Solomon Island, Fiji, Papua New Guinea, Australia, Indonesia, then a bit further up in Asia, Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia, Hong Kong. Then more further to the west side, I went to the US, to Canada, to Jamaica. Then more in the Middle East, to Palestine, to Israel, Jordan, and yeah, like then almost all countries from Europe. So for now, I didn't went deep in South America and not to Africa yet.
Uh-huh. Right. And even in the big countries like the US or Canada, you try to see many different places, I imagine.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I actually had there. I went to these places in a really good time. I got a hurricane, so I had an experience with the Hurricane Irma
Uh-huh.
in the middle of Miami, and I've seen a solar eclipse in Portland, like in Salem. There you could see the solar eclipse 100%. What was really good timing for myself to be there.
Uh-huh. Well, I'm going to ask you about some of these places you went to because I'm also planning a world travel for, for me, my kids, and our students as well. So we have a lot to talk about after this as well. But I would like to ask you, all these travels you did, all the stories you already told me, what were some of the most valuable lessons that you learned that you can share with us?
Yeah, I think the most valuable lessons are be yourself. That's one of the major thing I learned. I am like so myself when I kind of interact with people. Then I felt that's the best way. You don't have to be actually someone else. Like the society is always kind of forcing that from us. Smile in the right moment. Don't show your like emotions or things like that. So this is one of the major things I learned. Just like be yourself. Be true, because you are the only person with that type of attitudes and from the personality. So you are actually unique. Every single human is unique. And if we can present ourselves like that, then this is a wonderful way to be open for other humans too. And there I come to the second thing, which is really important.
Let me stop you there just for a moment because we'll come back to the second thing. I'm sorry about this. Can you share like a story that from your travel that taught you, that showed you that it's important to be yourself?
Now, I mean, there are many things coming in my mind in that moment. But I think, for example, when I do my art, I don't try to force to show people like my art. People should just come to the art and watch it. And if they feel like they have a conversation with me about it, then they can do that. So I'm not forcing situations like that. They kind of coming in naturally.
Yeah.
When I go to some tribes, I don't like to be someone who they maybe just expect to come to the tribes. I just be myself. That gives a wonderful normal feeling so between us. I don't have to change myself, so I don't have to be someone else.
Yeah. Well, here I want to maybe mention to the to the people those of you who are watching this is that, and Martin, you haven't talked about this yet, but you did many jobs as a nomad, right? Well, I'm going to ask about this later. But nowadays, you are able to live fine as a nomad with your art. You sell it on the street. You sell it in even galleries sometimes.
Cafes,
bars,
shops now.
And there was a story that you told me about how, you're going to tell the story, so I'm not going to say it, about how, people want to buy your art, but you have certain principles that you wouldn't change your principle. And I think maybe this is related to be yourself.
That's true.
So I don't know, is there...
There's a one major story, for example, with my artwork. I was sitting on the street sharing there my artwork. We call it the busking, like street like a kind of a street artist on the street who does to show his skill, same like the musician or the jugglers on the street. I do that with my drawings. And there was one woman, she really liked to buy my artwork in that moment. And I said it's not finished and I will not sell it to her if it's not finished. And she said, no, but I give you now 500 euro for that, right? And I said, yeah, but it's still not finished. I don't like to sell it to you. So that's just the point of what it is. And she couldn't just accept that. She told me about all her sports cars she has in her garage and that she can buy everything what she likes. And in that moment, she had to realize that she can't buy everything and that she can't buy me too in that moment or like a part of my artwork. And I think when we do that, to be like ourselves and to be the truth with ourselves, we actually kind of give a good example. And she had to learn too that you can't just buy everything just because she has a lot of money.
Right, but you were not trying to teach her a lesson. You were just, you had a principle.
That's it.
I mean, you know, if your principle is if you don't finish your artwork, you're not going to sell it.
That's it.
And I think you even told me she went to the ATM to get all the cash.
That's it. Yeah.
And she's like, here's the cash, but you're like, I'm not selling this until...
I mean, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Like, in the end, you could go home with 500 euro in your pocket, but on the next day, I never would wake up with a good feeling. So that's like, I have that type of the principles in my life where I would think on the next day I would wake up and wouldn't be happy. So I would start to regret things in my life.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing in my life I never actually like to have. I never like to regret anything. And for now, that never happened. So for my whole life, I don't have to regret anything.
Yeah, I think this is a story that impresses me because, you know, I imagine if I was living my life as a nomad, selling my art, I think you explained it really clear to me. You don't know, you know, one day it could be, you can sell a lot of art. The next day, maybe nothing happens.
That's it.
It's never predictable.
Yep.
So I think for many people who are faced with a situation, oh, here's 500 euros. I'm going to buy your art.
A lot of people would take that.
A lot of people probably just say, okay, well, take my art, you know.
It. Yeah. Yeah.
But so this story impresses me. That I guess this demonstrates being yourself. One of the meanings is to know your principles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
And they are starting to kind of evolve. So you actually don't know before that this is a principle like upon yourself. That's just in that moment I start to realize, no, it doesn't feel well to sell that to her.
Yeah.
And for sure, as a nomad, you need your money on the way, but you make it in another way too. You don't really have to get in a situation like that and just accept that what the world is kind of providing you in that moment. For me, it was more important to stay in that moment, my principles, because I had learned the last years by doing my art. There are really good days, there are really, really bad days. Sometimes you can be on the street for 8-9 hours, showing your art, doing your art, but you go with zero home, wherever home is in that moment.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you, Martin, that so you learned that your principles are important to you, and you're going to share some other valuable lessons with us. But can I ask, is one of the lessons trusting that everything will be fine? Is this possible? This is one of the lessons, because when you follow your principles, sometimes you get nothing for it. And maybe you even get hurt, you know?
But not, so, but not on the long term. That's the major thing. On the long term, when you trust life, when you trust situations will come up, then they will come up. It's not like you can force them. A lot of people in this society at the moment trying to force a lot of things, and I think that's not healthy.
Can you say more about trusting life?
Trusting life. So we come to that second point, which I actually like to say before, which I learned on my travel. So I make that way now to that. Trusting life is one major thing what I learned. If you put the positive things out in the world, the positive things just coming like back to you. If it's the next day, if it's like a few months or weeks like later, it's like doesn't matter. It's like as long as you stay positive, the positive things are coming back to you. And even you change like in that moment for some people, you change their situation too. When you show like that type of from the positivity, and it's like true, then the people are getting more like positive too.
Okay.
Some people would call it karma, or I don't know really how we could call that then in this case, but that's what I learned.
So trusting life for you is that something positive out of the world comes back to you in the long term.
Long term, or sometimes directly.
So absolutely. Perfect. So we're just gonna wait a little bit for the airplane to pass pass through. So that was the second lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Is the valuable lesson from traveling.
Yeah.
Maybe just a third valuable lesson, if there is one, or I can move on to the next question.
Yeah, third valuable lesson could be because a lot of people they are just.
I like
asking-
threes, when
Yeah.
they make a nice.
3, 5, 7. I like that too. Totally. If it, yeah, fair enough. Okay, the third one. I just had one in my mind, and now it just ran away.
I'm looking at the Walden experience.
Yeah, yeah.
And you mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
I feel there's something really important in that experience about past, future, and present. I don't know. Do you think that would be? If not, I'm happy to. We can wait. Ask you to be patient, and I'm sure that you will find something else. But do you think that could be a?
That's the one part. I mean, I have to say too, like the past is really important.
Yeah.
Super important. Like we are made from our past. We are born on that planet, and then we get that type of educations, what parents or teachers or the society is putting then just on us. And like especially born in Germany, you're kind of more kind of organized and structured in the beginning.
Yeah.
I had to get rid of that a bit more to actually gain more freedom. So that was for me a lesson to let things more